What's good, YouTube peeps and barbecue freaks? It is Sunday. You know what that means. That means I got to represent my boys. We got the New York Football Giants tonight. A win clinches us the NFC East. We're already in the playoffs. First team in the league to clinch a spot. Happy about that. Anyway, along with this game tonight, not only am I going to have my favorite drink, Tito's, but I'm also gonna smoke a rack of ribs. So I have a slightly over 5.5 pound rack of spare ribs. Nice, beautiful rack. I'm not gonna do a whole lot of trimming. Let me show you what this looks like. So this here is about 5.5 pounds. I am going to remove the brisket bone. There's a little bit of fat here, silver skin, that I'm gonna trim off. I will remove the membrane from the back. However, I'm going to leave the whole rib tip area, all of this here. I'm going to leave that on. We're going to cook it whole. The rub I'm going to use, I'll talk a little bit about that because it's the first time I'm actually using this rub by itself. So I'm going to get this trimmed up a little bit. I'm just going to remove this brisket bone here on the back. We'll remove the skirt flap and get the membrane removed, and then I'll pick back up. All right, so I got the ribs trimmed up. Again, I left the rib tips on here. Normally I would make it a St. Louis cut and cut right along this line here. We're not gonna do that today. So the rub I'm gonna use is this Hog Wallers from Suckle Busters. This is a really good rub. I use this rub a lot. However, every time I've used it, I've always used it in conjunction with a bunch of other, or with several other different rubs. I've never tried it by itself on pork or on anything. So today, this is what I'm going to use. I'm going to just take some of this hog waller. We're going to rub these ribs down, let them sit for a while so they have time to sweat. And as that's happening, I'm going to run outside and set up my Weber. And I'll show you how I have that set up in just a bit. So let me get the back of these rubbed down. I'm gonna get the front of these rubbed down, and I'm gonna let them sit for about 20 minutes so that rub has time to set in and sweat out and kind of, become a part of the meat. So let me get this done and I'll pick back up shortly. All right, these ribs have been sitting for a while. As you can see, they've sweated out. The rubs had time to sit in there and sweat. So these are ready to go. I'm gonna apply just a little bit more of the hog wallers, just a light coating right over the top, and then we'll take them outside. All right, so I got the ribs on. I'm using my Weber Smoky Mountain, and I'm running with mesquite. I don't normally use mesquite, especially on pork. However, lately I've been playing around with mesquite and using it a lot more on my beef, and particularly my briskets. I've noticed when I use mesquite, my briskets turn out better than they would when I use any other wood. So I'm kind of becoming a fan of mesquite. We're going to try it on some pork. We'll see how it turns out. So the bottom vents, it is a windy day, so I have those halfway open. The top vents will be halfway open also as soon as I put the lid on, and we'll just let it run like that. If it wasn't as windy, I would probably leave the bottom vents all the way open, but as of right now, they're halfway open. All right, so these ribs have been going for about an hour, and what I've done is I've actually just taken a little butter and melted it and just kind of sprinkling it right on the ribs. You can use apple juice to spritz it down, to add some moisture. I'm just gonna run with butter because I don't have any apple juice. This rub hasn't really set yet, so you want to be careful. If you notice, I'm just kind of letting it drip on there. I'm not actually rubbing the rib, since the rub hasn't set. If I wiped it on, it'd actually wipe off that rub. So this butter, what it's going to do is going to add moisture and flavor. So that's what we're looking like right now. And I'm just going to do this throughout the cook for the first 3 hours, probably about every 20 minutes, and then we'll wrap them. All right, so what I've done so far is the ribs are just about to come off. So I've just taken some foil, I put some brown sugar, some honey, and some butter. You've seen me do that before, or you've seen other people do that before. The next thing I'm going to add to this before I put the ribs on is some of the barbecue sauce I'm going to be using. And I'm going to run with, you know you want it, barbecue sauce from Manuel over at El Rabbit's Barbecue. If you haven't tried the sauce, you need to. Some good stuff right here. It's got a spicy one as well, which is my favorite. But I'm gonna run with the regular sauce. So we're gonna get the ribs. We're gonna place the ribs meat side down, and then we'll repeat the process on the back side. So this is what the ribs look like about 2 hours in. The temperature's kind of been running pretty high, so these are kind of running a little bit ahead of schedule, which is fine by me. But that hog waller from Suckle Busters, I really like that color. Look at that. God, it looks so good. As you can see, let me put this meat side down real quick, and I'll show you. I'm actually starting to get pulled back on these bones already. So I'm gonna reckon at this temperature, I'm not sure what it's running, but it's probably around 275 if I know the spit. Maybe another 45 minutes to an hour wrapped, and they'll be ready to go. But this is what it's looking like so far. Look at that. Damn, that looks good. I can't wait to try this. So I'm gonna repeat the process. We're just gonna put some brown sugar on top. Toss some brown sugar on top. We'll put some butter, some honey, a little more barbecue sauce. Wrap them up, back on the pit. All right, so I repeated the process. Got the brown sugar, some honey, some butter, and some barbecue sauce. So we're gonna wrap these bad boys up and get them back on the pit. And we'll pick back up once they're done. All right, these ribs are just about done. They've been on the smoker a total of about 3 hours in the foil for about a little under an hour. You can see we're got some really good pullback here. So what I've done is I've drained all the butter and the honey and brown sugar mixture. I've drained that off. I put a little bit in this bowl here. I'm gonna take some Manuel's, you know you want it, and we're just gonna add a little bit of that to that mixture. Give this a good little mix. That mixture, I tell you what, I got a spoon of that after I poured it out, and that stuff is good. So I'm simply gonna got this here. Take this, made a little boat with the foil. I'm gonna apply this sauce right over the ribs. And I'm gonna put it back on the pit just like this for about 10-15 minutes, just to let this sauce sit. All right, these ribs are done. Got some nice pullback. Great color, look at that. God, these look so good. I can tell you now, the rib tips up here, a lot of times those tend to dry out because there isn't any fat in there whatsoever. So those rib tips tend to dry out. But if you baby them just right and take care of them, they'll be really tender, moist, and juicy. And just by touching these and seeing how tender they are, I can tell that they're going to be good. So I'm going to cut some ribs up, and we'll get to tasting. Cut up. Look at that. Nice smoke ring. Beautiful. Nice pullback. Great color. Take a look at that. Mm. Plenty of moisture. Look at that. Oh yeah, buddy. All right, we're gonna taste these bad boys. Look at that. Nice color. Let's give it a try. All right, let's give these bad boys a try. Look at that. Nice and thick. This is a big old rib. Salud. Nice clean bite. Look at that. Mm. The rub with the, I should have got a napkin, with the, you know you want it. It's not too sweet. You definitely get there is some sweetness from the sugar stuff that we added, but it's not overpowering. This is a, this is a, this is probably one of the best ribs I've made in a while. So, again, look at that. Cooked nicely. Great bite. I'm going to finish eating. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that like button. More importantly, hit that subscribe button if you haven't. I'm going to finish eating. Get ready for my Cowboys. Let's hope they pull out that victory. Anyway, cheers.